am JB Shelton, back with you guys today. So excited to be celebrating August Hair Loss Awareness Month. Did you know that? Yeah. Started a couple years ago, and now more than ever, it's imperative that we're educating ourselves and our clients on hair loss. So as I said, I'm JB Shelton. I am a salon owner. I'm a hair loss expert and educator with BosleyMD. Excited to be here today, sharing some of my top tips for not only hair cutting, which we're going to get into, but also some of our BosleyMD product line that is carried at Great Clips, how you can understand it a little bit better, how you can position it with your guests so they understand what's going on below the scalp, and how BosleyMD can be an effective solutions tool for you.
Hey,
Okay.
JB, this is Sharon Mudgett. Could you project your voice a little louder so we can hear you a little better?
Absolutely. Is that a little bit better, guys? Thank you so much, Sharon, for letting me know. You know, when you're the producer, the director, the star of your own show, sometimes you don't always know what it's like on the other side. So if I need to speak up at any time, please feel free to let me know, because it's so important that you all get the information that you need for your time spent today for your career. So thank you again for sharing with us. Any kind of questions you all have, please put in the chat. If I can't get to it when you ask, I will take time at the end of the sessions to do and touch base on those questions for you. Okay, so we're going to be sharing our invisible layer haircut and some product knowledge, as I mentioned, from the Bosley PK line. Okay, so what is an invisible layer haircut? Well, it's actually a volumizing haircut that doesn't take any length away. It doesn't add any visible layers to the exterior of the hair, and it adds volume and movement, and it's really directed towards those guests that have fine, thin, or low density hair, right? So we're going to be creating internal layers, shorter pieces throughout the hair, around the scalp, that actually create a base that kind of pushes this hair up. Okay, so how many of you have had that client that comes into and sits in your chair and they say, okay, I don't want to change, I don't want any length cut off, I don't want bangs, but I want something new and different? Well, this invisible layer haircut is exactly what you need. And on top of the fact that it's a whole entire haircut we're going to cover today, you can also use any one of the sectioning techniques that I have shown you throughout into any other haircut you're doing for adding texture and removing any unwanted weight. Because yes, even though you may have fine, thin, or low density hair, there's still areas of your hair that may have drag and weight that's preventing that volumized look that you want. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with our haircut. I'll pause in between each section, and we're going to touch base on some of the amazing products that you all carry out of our line, including the new Mend Extend kit that you guys just got on board. I know you're doing great with it, and it's an awesome product. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to turn my model. Miss Anna is back with me again. This is her second time as my model, so clearly this haircut works, or she wouldn't come back for another one, right? So this haircut is actually going to start in the nape of the neck, and this is where we have 0 degree fall. Okay, just go straight down. A lot of people do have a lot of drag in this area. If you have a pixie design or a shorter design or an asymmetrical bob or something that you want to really flow and move and swing, this particular technique in the haircut is going to give you just that. Okay, so first I'm going to start off by taking my entire section and I'm going to analyze her hairline, okay, lifting it up. Because what we do want to do with this haircut, and this is on dry hair, and I only do this on dry hair, I want to protect her perimeter, because remember, we're not cutting any length with this style, with this design. So I'm going to come in about 1/4 inch in from the hairline, and I'm going to carve that out, because that's going to protect that perimeter from getting holes, skips, and gaps. I'm going to come down here, do the same. And then I'm going to go on the opposite side. And again, this is about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch in hair, back of ear to back of ear, making sure you've got the whole perimeter in place. Then you're going to take your comb and you're going to place it against her scalp. Now, this particular technique is going to be done standing parallel to the back of your client's head. But for education purposes, I'm going to do it from the side so you all can see what's going on, okay? So I'm going to turn Anna really quickly. Move some of my tray out of the way here real quick. Okay. Let's stand to the side. I want everybody to get a great angle on this. Putting that comb, placing it right against her scalp. Now, as I stand parallel behind, I'm going to lift this straight up until I get to about 2 inches from the end. Remember, this is part of the perimeter, so we don't want that hair cut, right? Lifting it up and away from the scalp diagonally towards me. Now I'm going to press it back into her scalp, okay? What I've created here is a little bit of an arc in her hair. What I'm going to do is take tiny point cutting, and I don't know if you can see the back of my shears there, tiny point cuts in a bricklaying fashion, starting at the top of the round. The reason we start at the top of the round is because if we get too close to that scalp, you may have too short of hair that actually sticks out or causes just gaps or movements in the hair that are wrong. So once again, tip of my shears above. Let me turn here so you can see my action of my shear. But remember, this is, I would be standing parallel behind her, okay? Once again, tips above the round, bricklaying fashion, just going up and around. Now I'm going to close my shear and I'm going to shake that hair. And you can see whatever hair is left in the comb, you can absolutely go back and do a little bit more nipping. But the fact that all of her hair fell out of the comb once I shook it out tells me that there's not a lot of drag left in this particular section. Now, I'm not going to go over it again and do the cut, but I am going to go through it without talking so you can kind of see it as a live quick demo. Protecting the perimeter. Comb against scalp. Diagonal up. 2 inches left out. Pressing against the scalp. Creating an arc. Above your arc. Point nip cut in a bricklaying fashion till you get to your comb. Close your shears. Shake it out. Okay. Now, even as I shook it out this next time, I can see this section right here is still in the comb. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to do just a few until that all falls out. And I have removed the weight that's causing the drag at that nape area. Remember, this is a great technique to use on any asymmetrical bob. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of lift her hair up gently because I want you to see how that hair now has some lift and has some movement back in that nape area. You can see how it actually pushed this hair out and made the perimeter look a little thicker, okay? Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this whole nape section and I'm gonna part it off to the side because we're complete with this section here. And then we're gonna be working in the occipital area, okay? Here and here. All right, now before I go on to this next section, I'm going to share a little bit of hot tips for you with some of the products, okay? First, let's talk about our 30-day kits. Okay, so the number one question I get when I'm out in the field educating professionals on hair loss, why people are losing their hair, and how they can have success with BosleyMD and our solutions. Where do you start, right? Every stylist wants to know, where do I start if I have a new guest that comes in? Start with a great consultation. And I know that's one of the things that you guys do in Great Clubs. Start with a consultation on why they may be losing their hair or what kind of shedding may be going on. And then the first place you're going to go is our 30-day kits, okay? Now I'm going to go through the whole kit line individually so you all can have specific knowledge on each one. Now, we have 3 separate lines of our kits. Yes, 3 lines, excuse me, 3 lines, okay? The first line is our defense kit. It's going to be in the gold box. All of our kits have shampoo, conditioner, and a treatment with it. The treatment in the yellow, in the orange, and the blue is the same. And then the treatment in our Mend Extend is different, and we're going to get into those differences in just a minute, okay? 30-day kit. Why is it so important? Well, it's a 30-day, everyday shampoo, condition, and thickening treatment, okay? It does replace the regular shampooing. So if you have a female guest who shampoos every other day, she absolutely would just put this in place of her regular shampooing regimen. When it comes to men, I encourage daily shampoo because if they are going through genetic hair loss, the DHT hormone that's causing that hair loss is actually in their sweat as well. And if they don't shampoo every day, that DHT residue sits on the scalp and gets back into that hair follicle. Okay. So defense kit, how do you know which one to recommend, right? Well, the defense is exactly that. It's defending against future hair loss. So someone like myself, maybe someone who's around the age of 35, because 35 is the peak density of hair growth for all humans, right? Maybe someone who just had a baby and is noticing they're getting some excessive shedding because of the hormone fluctuation. You know, hormones are a huge indicator for female hair growth. So any kind of hormone disruption in a woman, whether it be perimenopause, menopause, then they are going to be defending against future hair loss, okay? Shampoo, all the shampoos, leave it on for a minute or two. Encourage them to leave it on because we want the product to absorb into the scalp to get down into that follicle. Because remember, Bosley is a trifecta. It works on the follicle, the scalp, and the hair you already have to help give that hair and that follicle the re-energizing it needs so it can wake back up and start growing hair again. So leave the shampoo on 1 to 2 minutes. They might feel a slight little tingling. That's because the blood circulation is being boosted to the follicle. That's what we want. Condition, 5 to 7 minutes, especially if they have longer, finer hair. And encourage your female guests who have fine hair, who never want to condition. Absolutely, you must condition because your hair will break if it doesn't have enough moisture. And breakage is hair loss, okay? So conditioner, totally formulated for that fine, thinning hair fabric. Now, leave that on 5 to 7 minutes. Towel dry when you get out. Then you apply your thickening treatment. This is a foam actuator. One pump can pretty much cover your part and your sides, but you can use this anywhere on the hair you want. You can use it all over. The thickening treatment actually acts as a keratin wrap to all of those new baby hairs as they're coming in. Because when you're going through hair loss, the hair you're growing at this time is actually weakened and vulnerable, and it can break off very easily. So this thickening treatment comes in and acts like bark on the tree for your hair so it can grow to fruition. And then, of course, it has our 30-day guarantee. 30-day guarantee means less shedding, more visible volume and fullness to your hair. And most clients, when they start using it, start noticing a difference in about 4 shampoos, especially on the hair that's already present. Okay. All right. Now
we do have a question.
Yes, love that. Okay.
So somebody wanted to know if you could explain a little bit more what drag means.
Okay.
We're talking about drag.
Love that. Thank you so much. Everybody uses a little different adjectives sometimes. Drag means where the hair just won't move. It just falls and lays. A lot of times you'll see it in the front, in a longer bang area, especially near the recession, right, where the hair kind of splits. That's drag, where it just doesn't want to move. The hair just kind of and stops, right? And if you're someone who has fine, thinning, dense, low density hair, you want as much movement and volume as possible because you want to give the visual appearance of fullness and density. Okay, I hope that answered your question. If not, we'll keep going through and I'll do some better explanations as I go. All right. Okay, now let's get to our second line for our 30-day kits. And that is our Revive line. The Revive line has 2 kits available. One kit, the blue kit, is for non-color treated hair. The orange kit is for color treated hair. Now I will say, all of the products are color safe. So even if you have to use the blue on a color treated client, that is totally fine because it is color safe. Our orange kit and our yellow kits just have an extra layer of protection to protect that color from the sun and the radical environment, okay? So once again, 30-day guarantee, shampoo, condition, and a thickening treatment used just the same way as the defense kit. This is for those guests 4 feet away, you can see scalp, right? Because they are in a position, absolutely, we've got to get in there and we've got to wake up those sleepy, dormant follicles. And that's basically what's happening, especially in genetic hair loss, which is the #1 reason people are losing their hair. Stress is the number 2 reason we're losing our hair. So some of us out there are in quite a perfect storm, really, due to the aging process, due to the stress process, and then genetics as well. But these act in a way that they're really getting into the scalp a little deeper and working into that follicle with our botanical ingredients to revitalize and refresh and wake those sleeping follicles up, because that's what they're doing. They're kind of going to sleep because they don't have enough vitamins and nutrients, kind of like humans. We're tired and lethargic when we don't get the right vitamins and nutrients in our diet. Okay. All right. So those are the 3 original kits. And then I'm going to go back over here to our next section, and then we'll talk about the Mem Extend in just a moment. Okay. Because I know that's something that's really interesting to you all. And it has become one of our top sellers in just 9 short months in our entire line. So that's pretty exciting too. All right. So let's go on to our next section. And we're going to be working from behind the ear to opposite ear in a vertical fashion, okay? So what I'm going to do, and remember, and this little pop quiz out there, you don't necessarily have to answer, you can answer it to yourself, but based on what we learned down in the nape area, the first thing I should be looking for is what? The perimeter. We want to protect that perimeter. And everyone at the table knows the ear area is a very delicate because the hairline moves. And so that means the perimeter can move too. So you got to be real careful when you're cutting that hair to prevent the holes and the skips or the gaps that could be right around that ear area. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to analyze her hair, and I can see right here in that corner, we're going to have some perimeter out. So I'm going to come in, and I'm just going to take a triangle piece about a 1/2 inch wide, and I'm going to cut that out. So that's going to prevent that hole and skip and gap, right? I'm also going to do it on the other side as well. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to split this whole section right down the middle. So I have 2 sections. Depending on the width of their scalp, you could do this in 2 or 3 sections. So I'm going to go ahead and do it in 3 sections just to make it easier to see on the online computer. Okay. So first I'm going to start on my right side. The reason I'm starting on my right side is because I'm right-handed. And so much of what we do to save time and energy is muscle memory and just kind of having a program and a blueprint that we just automatically know and we go to. So for you newer professionals to our field, really focus on making sure you're setting good habits when you're cutting hair, because it is the foundation for your future success. Okay. All right. So we're going to start over here on this left side. Excuse me. I'm going to take my thumb and my index finger. I'm going to place right here at the edge of the parting, and I'm going to grab about a 2-inch wide section, like so. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to carve out my 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch section that's laying right here on that perimeter. Once again, I'm going to be standing parallel to my section. So much of this haircut depends on your shoulder position and being parallel and being even with your guests, not with them, with the section. Okay. So I'm going to pull this straight out from my throat. Excuse me, that little bump there. And I'm going to take my middle finger and my ring finger. Okay. And I'm going to press that through the section. All right. Now what you can see here is 1, 2, 3 sections even. I'm going to pull my hand out until I get to about 2 inches from the end. Same thing I did in the nape. Okay. Why am I doing that? Once again, protecting the perimeter from holes, skips, and gaps, which again are so incredibly easy to do when we're talking about fine, thinning, or low density hair. Okay. Now, my hand is in a loose grip. I don't have this on, like super fist pump grip. Loose grip. I'm going to take my shears in the wide V. I'm going to come in and I'm going to separate this top section and remove it from my fingers. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, as that section is just laying loosely in the convex of my shear, and you know what, I'm going to pause really briefly because what I'm noticing here is I need a little bit better angle for you all. So thank you for your patience. Once again, wide V coming in, laying that shear and it's convex, okay? Now I am going to cut it from the side, but this is one of those scenarios where you're going to be standing parallel directly behind, okay? I'm going to come in and I'm gently just going to slide cut all the way up, up, up until it falls out and away, okay? One more time, and let me stand to the side so you can see my finger angle and my shear angle. And I start my slide cutting, as you can imagine, about 1.5 inches to 2 inches away from the scalp, so I don't get too short pieces happening. I'm going to slide up, slither, 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 up and away. Last section, I'm going to move this out of the way here. Convex of my shear, 2 inches away from the scalp, slide, 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 up and away. Okay, now that section is done. And what we have done with this technique, short hair pushes long. So what we've done inside this section is we've created little short pieces throughout this section to push the long hair up. And it doesn't take a lot of hair to come out for this to happen on somebody with low density hair. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's do the middle section. I'm going to park this away just for clarity for you online. And we're going to come in and we're going to do a middle section. All right, let's turn this here to the side so you can see where my angle or where my parting is. Make sure I get all of that. Okay, so this is kind of in the middle section, and you can see it's about a 2-inch section. Once again, using my thumb and my finger, coming in, parting this off, pulling it out. Now I'm going to stand parallel, holding the section straight out from where it grows. I'm going to take my middle and ring finger, press it through the section, creating 3 even sections, leaving approximately 2 inches of the perimeter out, not to be cut. Coming in with my shear in a wide V, coming in, releasing that first top section, holding it straight away from where it grows, starting 2 inches from the scalp, slither cutting, slither cutting, slither cutting, up, up and away. Second section, 2 inches from scalp, slither cutting, up, up and away. Last section, 2 inches from scalp, slither cutting, up, up and away. We're going to do the last section, and I'm going to try to get a close up, and I don't know if you can see it because of the lighting, but can you see there's literally 4 hairs in here, okay? And to be honest, I don't want to get a lot of hair. I want the right hair out, right? The right hair, okay? And once we get all 3 sections done, I'm going to reveal to you how this has helped her overall volume in this area. Now you can go through each of these sections multiple times if there's still drag and it's or weight, it's not moving, it's not flowing, it just kind of hanging there, right? That's when you know there's still a little bit of weight left in there, and you can absolutely do these techniques more than once in the same haircut. Just make sure you're taking out the right amount, okay? All right, let's do our third section here. And let me spin my model so you can see what that looks like as far as the amount of hair I'm looking at. And what do we see? We see perimeter. We want to make sure we're protecting that. So we're going to come in, do that, about 1/2 inch to protect, standing parallel to your section, middle ring, press, wide V, top section, 2 inches, slither, 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 middle section, slither, 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 last section, slither, 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 slither. And you can actually see, I don't know if you can, I can on my end, but I can see the little hairs flying off, okay? Now, let's release.
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to know how often can you do this technique? Is it every haircut, every other haircut?
It depends on how much volume they have. I don't recommend doing it too often because you can disturb the overall volume. You'll know when you needed to do it again when the hair goes flat. And so for my guests, it's usually been once every other. And in fact, if I have a guest coming in and say they're not losing their hair, say they're not thinning, they just don't want a big change, but they feel like their hair's flat, this is a whole haircut that I do. So this is great for those fine textured hairs. If they're thin, low density, maybe every other time to prevent it from getting too wispy. But if you have someone like myself, it's not necessarily going through hair loss, but has a lot of fine textured hair and wants volume, this is an excellent haircut to give them. And you could do this back to back, just monitoring how that's working out for them. Okay. I hope that answered your question. If not, feel free to elaborate. I'm happy to continue the explanation as well. Okay. All right, so I'm going to turn my model to the side. Let me comb her hair out in the back. And I'm also going to release her nape area. Let me comb all that into its natural fall. And then I'm going to turn her to the side so you guys can see how. You know what? Let me do it on this side because this is where the light is at and it might be a little, yeah. I'm getting some good coaching tips from Ben, the producer for Miss Sharon, about lighting. So thank you, Ben. It's making this session a lot nicer. But look at this volume. Look at that movement. Look at that hair lift. And you can see how it looks fuller and thicker. No divots in the perimeter at all. Look how strong that perimeter looks. And the volume that she has in the movement. Okay. All right. Now, before we get into our next section, which is going to be working on the parietal ridges, let's get into that Mend Extend kit, because this is our new powerhouse, okay? Mend Extend, why is it so amazing? I got all kinds of reasons I'm going to share for you, but the number one thing that I love is our botanical ingredients that are listed right on the back of the box. So this is a great education tool for your clients when they take it home, a reference so they understand what's going on with the products that we have in here. And the number one product is that hyaluronic acid that's so critical for moisture. We know what it does for our internal body. We know what it does for our skin. We already know that skin and hair are basically the same fabric, just different densities, right? This hyaluronic acid is the key ingredient to help prevent breakage, okay? Because remember, just a few minutes ago, we were talking breakage is hair loss, and we never really think about it like that. And breakage doesn't mean that necessarily your hair's necessarily been overprocessed too much, or could be you use a lot of heat, could be that you just have naturally fine textured hair, and too much heat and the sun in the summertime breaks it off. Ponytails, braids, improper use of extensions and wigs that can all cause breakage, right? This is the answer, that hyaluronic acid, the territory that we have in it. This is how we strengthen the outer shell of the hair strand itself while impacting moisture inside with that hyaluronic acid. We are the first of its kind we're the first product, we're one of the first, excuse me, to use the hyaluronic acid in our product line, okay? So what's in the Mend Extend kit? Well, it too has shampoo and conditioner. I still recommend leaving the shampoo on 1 to 2 minutes, leaving the conditioner on for 5 to 7. Now, this is what I use. I started using this when we came out with it 9 months ago, and I can tell you my hair is fuller and thicker, and I see less hair snow in the morning. Those of you that are blonde, you know what I'm talking about, because what that hair snow is when you're brushing your hair and you see the little tidbits of little pieces of hair just flying all over your vanity and everywhere because it's breaking off, okay? This is going to help that, all right? And I'm going to bring this up just a little bit more. Look at the volume difference right on the front of the box. And these are pictures that we did in a medical setting, okay? No filters, no lighting. This is the difference between using those. 85% of women saw more volume. And you know what else it's doing? It's saving about 1,400 hairs a month. Okay, because it's not breaking off. That's a lot of hair. We already know that we're going to lose about 100 every day from natural shedding, right? From the growth cycle. But this breakage can be eliminated with this product. Okay, you got your blondes, you got even your non-pigmented, or what I say, gray hair, white hair that's fine, that's kind of thinning a little bit. This is great to help protect it and give it moisture that it needs. Now, the last product on here is our leave-in spray. This is amazing product. It can be used on wet or dry hair. It has our hyaluronic acid in it. This is an amazing product for textured hair too. You got your guests that come in and they've got curly hair. This is a great product for curly hair, whether they're losing it or not, because of the hyaluronic acid and the level of moisture that's included in this. Also, 30-day guarantee, okay? Fuller, thicker hair, less shedding, 30 days. And let me tell you something, if you have somebody going through the throes of hair loss that's in your chair, if you can stop that shedding, you're already a winner in their eyes, okay? Mend Extend, like I said, it's become one of our top sellers, and I've been carrying BosleyMD for 12 years in the salons that I work in and educate in, and this is a game changer, okay? All right, let's get back to our haircut. We're gonna work on the parietal ridge. Anybody have any questions about ingredients? Anybody have any questions about how long will it take to work? What should I expect? Please feel free to share that on the chat. I'm here for the questions. If you don't ask, you never know. And if you don't know, you're missing an opportunity for success, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and start in here. We're gonna release our sides. Now, as I go through this haircut, what I wanted everyone to understand too is, why did I part this off in the way that I parted it, okay? Well, think about it like this. Everybody's head is shaped a little different way, but everybody has ears, everybody has an occipital bone, everybody has a parietal ridge, right? They're just in different places. But when we use their bone structure, their head structure, and the fall of their hair as our guide, you're automatically giving everybody an individualized haircut with this particular parting. And so what I've done when I parted it off is parted it according to the fall and the bone structure, okay? So here we've got our sides, 0 fall. In the back, we separated our occipital from the nape because it has different degrees of fall. And the highest point on the head is right here at the top, okay? And so what we're going to do up here is show you how to get some more volume, but we're going to do the hair underneath to do it, right? Sorry, we're live in our salon today, and that's the best way to do these classes, because we want to be as organic as possible, so you can hear our doorbell ringing in the background as we have guests coming in for the day. So thank you so much for your patience. Love doing these classes. We're right outside of Indianapolis here in the Midwest, so we're dealing with everybody what you all are dealing with out there too. So know that you're not alone, and we're all in this together, okay? All right, so I'm going to comb this hair out in its natural fall. And I'm going to start on the right side of her head. Again, starting on the right side because, well, I'm right-handed, and it's that simple. Go with the flow. Go with the flow of your body. Create that good foundation. We're going to be working along the parietal ridge. We're going to be working from right to left side, recession to recession. I'm going to start on the right-hand side. I'm looking here, and I'm seeing a hairline. This recession area is a very delicate area for women when they're losing hair. As you can see, and I'm sure many of you know, this hair right here, very delicate. It's the most delicate hair that you have on your whole head. It can break off very easily. And it's actually kind of 2 types of hair we got going on here. One is vellus hair. Vellus hair is kind of like body hair, right? It's fine, it's slow, or it's a little quicker growing, it sheds really fast, it doesn't grow very long, okay? Then you have terminal hair. Terminal hair is the longer, stronger growing hair. And terminal hair genetically can grow anywhere from 2 to 6 years on the head. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be mindful of this vellus hair. We don't want to lose it. It's our underbrush in the forest, right? If you don't have the underbrush in the forest, all you see is the big tall trees, right? You see right through the trees. Well, that's our hair. We don't want to see through the trees, because if you do, you see the scalp. Big no-no. Nobody wants that, especially with women, okay? So we're going to start on our right-hand side. I'm going to use my finger, that first knuckle there, that is an inch measurement, easy to use. I'm going to start an inch in from her hairline. Remember, protecting that hairline, protecting that baby vellus hair, because that's the hair that's kind of camouflaging, all right? Now, once I use my measurement, I'm going to come in. I don't even need my comb for this one. And I'm going to use my pointer finger and my thumb, and I'm going to get about a 1/4 inch of hair pinched right in between my fingertips, okay? And I'm going to come in, and this little 1/4 inch of hair is going to be in a rectangle shape, okay? Why a rectangle and not a square? Because think about it, a rectangle is long. If you have a square, you're over directing too much, okay? Remember, we don't want to get the wrong hair. We want to get the right hair out. We want to get the right volume, the right weight out so we can add volume, okay? So this is a rectangle of a 1/4 inch of hair. You can see how it's newspaper thin, newspaper thin. I'm going to grab my shears and I'm going to let it drop in the convex of my shear. Once again, I'm standing parallel to my parting. My shoulders are down, my elbows are down, my feet are facing forward. Good posture results in a good haircut. I'm going to pull my shears about 1.5 inches away from her scalp, and I'm going to gently slither up, 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 up until that hair falls out, okay? We're going to continue this process from the right recession, radiating around her head to the left side of recession, okay? The only difference is we're going to use that inch parting I showed you earlier with my knuckle, and we're going to separate each section with 1 inch. Think about it. We don't want to all the way across. It's going to take out too much hair. We want to separate with a little space. What we're doing again, think about it like this. We're creating shorter pieces on the inside of the parting to push the hair up. So this hair down here is going to push this hair up here. A lot of times we think as stylists, oh, we just need to cut more layers if they want more volume. No, we need to get more weight out of the hair so the hair can be lifted on its own. And that's what we're doing. We're creating little spring hairs, hairs that spring up inside and push that hair up and away. Okay. All right. So let's go on to the next section. One more time. Let me turn her so you all can see. I started on the right-hand side, 1 inch from the perimeter, grab my rectangle of 1/4 inch hair. Now I'm going to come in. I'm going to measure another inch. And I'm going to grab another small newspaper thin 1/4 inch rectangle. Rectangle. Remember, if we do a rectangle, we won't be over directing. Okay, we won't have little side pieces that are too short popping over and around and being uncontrollable. Once again, standing parallel to my section. My shears are in a wide V. Let it rest in the convex. Pull it out about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. Slither, 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 slither until it falls out on its own. When the strand falls out on its own, the weight is gone. And remember, this whole haircut is your body movement, your tool, and gravity doing the work for you. So let the hair kind of talk to you using your tools that you have. All right, so I've got my last section I did here. I'm going to measure it with 1 inch. And I'm going to finish this without talking, which is really hard for me because I love to talk, and go radiate around so you all can see it without stop. This haircut takes approximately 10 minutes when you get it nailed down. And as great clip stylists, I know that time is money and money is time. Heck, that's any stylist, right? And so getting your haircut timing down is a big part of how you can earn a better living as a professional behind the chair. Come back. Okay, now I want you guys to see where I'm at here. I'm close to the front recession. This will be my last section because I'm about 1 inch away from her recession in the front. And then we'll do the big reveal so you can see how that gave her a little bit more volume and oomph. And then we're going to touch base on our supplements, follicle energizer, and my favorite product of all time, the nourishing volumizing leave-in. Oh my gosh, if you don't have this in your resource of tools, if your clients don't take it home, especially those with long curly hair, they're missing a good opportunity. All right, so let's comb through. I'm going to comb the hair out into natural 0-degree fall. I don't know if you can see the little hairs coming out, but they were literally just a few strands here and there. All right, so now let's start looking at how this gave her more volume right around just the occipital. Get out of her way so you guys can see. Look at that. Now, Anna's not gonna wear her hair like this. Okay, she's like, what have you done to me? I know you're a little cuckoo right now, but I want you all to see how important this is, because look at this movement and volume now that Anna's gonna have, right? And we didn't do new layers, no hair off the ends, no new bangs, boom. Okay, and our last section, speaking of bangs, is gonna be in the bang area. But before I get started, I want to go over our follicle energizer. Okay, this is one of our #1 products that we have. This is a great standalone product. It can be used alone and you can still see results with it. It's got our botanical ingredients. It's vegan, it's gluten-free. It has our apple stem cells, which is one of the big botanicals that we have in it that help energize that dormant follicle. And that's basically what this is doing. It's a follicle energizer, okay? Apple stem cell, caffeine, biotin, giving that follicle, feeding that follicle everything it needs so it can produce stronger, better hair. And that's really what we're doing. Remember, biotin, as I mentioned, is one of our ingredients. Biotin doesn't make the hair grow faster. It makes the hair grow stronger. So that's why it's a big ingredient in most of our product line, okay? It is odorless. It is colorless, and it literally takes 1 pump, and you can use this 1 to 2 times per day in any area of concern. So I just want everybody to kind of see what that looks like. It dries in about 2 minutes. That 1 pump will compass your whole part and the sides. So a little bit goes a long way, and make sure you let your clients know that, because if they overuse it in one area, they won't necessarily have better results. They're just overusing the product. Okay. This is a great standalone. This is for guys, any young guys that you guys have coming in that maybe they're thinning a little bit right here in the back, or maybe those women that are coming in from after having a baby and they're seeing like, right here is a little shallow. This is your tool to send them home 1 or 2 times per day when they brush their teeth. They'll start seeing a new crop of hair coming in about 4 weeks time. And to be even more transparent with you, we have talked about the fact that I have been a Bosley educator for 12 years, but I've also been a Bosley user for 12 years. As a salon owner and leader in the beauty industry, especially after the pandemic, my hair started thin, and it was because of stress. And stress is the #2 reason we lose our hair, and where it starts for a female, right up front. Yay, right? No, not yay, sucks. So I actually started using the follicle energizer at that time, and I use this on a regular basis to help keep this area nice and full and thick, even if it is just my vellus hair coming in. Okay. All right. Now let's go on to our supplements, because supplements are so important. Supplements are really one of the #1 research products on Google when it comes to hair loss. And I'll tell you, hair loss is researched mostly by women, okay? They're the #1 researcher and purchaser for products for not only themselves, but their family and their friends and their partners, okay? Supplements are your internal support for hair loss, okay? Let me get this right here for you guys. We have 2 supplements in our line, and we are the only company that has separate formulations for males and females when it comes to supplementation. Why do we do that? Well, because supplements are women and men, we lose hair for different reasons. Men generally lose hair because of genetic reasons. And that's why our BosleyMD has the highest concentrate of the #1 botanical ingredient, saw palmetto. You'll see it on the ingredient list in the back. Saw palmetto, it's the highest ingredient you can find right here in our Bosley supplements. It's also the #1 DHT inhibitor, okay? So that's why we're working internally, because DHT flows through the bloodstream of males and females. So it's a constant thing you got to fight. And that's why the supplementation is a great way to start. Another thing, this is a 1 a day. It's got the powerhouse vitamin A, vitamin D, zinc, iron, niacin, all the things that help with our immune system, as well as regrowing hair and helping the cause of genetic hair loss. Okay. Now for the females, same thing. Genetic hair, or this can help with genetic hair loss. This also helps with hair loss due to a vitamin imbalance. And the reason why is because it contains L-lysine. Okay. So for all of us out there, we got in the beauty industry, thought we're just going to be worried about hair, right? But you got to know what's going on inside of the body, because the hair is a telltale story, right? So for women, it's harder for us to absorb vitamin D and iron because we have a lower muscle mass than men. And so the L-lysine and the BosleyMD supplements absolutely help the women absorb vitamin D and iron into their system. If you have too much vitamin D and iron, or if you don't have enough, it can cause hair loss in women. Also contains biotin and caffeine in it as well. So it gives you a little pick-me-up. 1 to 2 per day for males or females. This is a 60-day supply for 1 a day. Anytime I have anyone getting started on the supplements, I tell them to take 2 a day for the first 2 weeks to kind of build those vitamins up, then they can go to 1 a day. So here is your internal support. And then you've got your external support with those kits. So you're kind of coming in, as I said, a trifecta. We're working internally, we're working externally on the scalp, and we're working on the hair that you already have in place. Okay. All right. So we've got just one more, and I'm going to save our volumizing and nourishing leave-in little hot tip stuff and education for the end, because I'm going to show you how I can use it as a styler for her today and how she can take it home and use it to protect her hair from the heat, sun, and her color. Okay. All right. So let's go to the top section. And we're going to let this down into her natural part and fall, If she changes her part, she likes to do a little different, then you're going to go down the middle. But if your guest says, no, this is where my part is all the time, you're going to go according to the part. Okay, and we're working in the bang in the front area. And this is for those guests, as we talked about earlier when we had our great question about drag, right? Drag is where we see a lot in the bang, okay? And it's because of this recession. The hair in the front and the hair on the side are actually separated by elevation and space. And so a lot of times you can have a split right here from the bang, and someone going through thinning hair, their hair splits very easily because they're missing density at the scalp to control what the hair does on the outside. Okay, so we're going to part this according to her part, and we're going to be focusing on getting this to be able to help movement. Okay, and this is great for guests like myself, where I just have more of a curtain bang or a soft layered bang, but I still don't want it hanging in my face, right? All right, I'm going to have my model tilt her head forward just a little bit, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working on the high point of the frontal. Okay, so how to find the high point? Take your comb, place it against their forehead. Where the comb leaves the scalp up the top here, that is the high point of the bang area, and that is where our parting and our sectioning will begin. Okay, so I'm going to place my finger right there. Let me turn her back so you can see we're working with just a little bit of space for her, and that's okay. And again, we're individualizing this to her bone structure, so we know this is right, because her comb can't lie and her skull's not lying either. Now I'm going to take from where my finger is, I'm going to come down, and I'm going to do a triangle parting. And what do you know? It parted right down on the opposite side of her recession. Okay, that's another little hot tip. You know you're in the right place and you've got the right amount of hair. All right, if your triangle parting comes down. All right, let me section this off here. You can keep that in place. Now I'm going to come to the other side, turn her around for you. Better like right there. Okay. I'm going to come from the same high point that I found with my comb. I'm going to come straight down. And what do you know? Excuse me. We're right at that recession. Okay. And make sure your parting is proper, especially in the front, because even one hair wrong can interrupt your total design. Okay. So now we have two sections. And I'm going to start on the section on the right-hand side. Anybody want to know why I start on the right-hand side? I'm sure you guys who've been listening know. It's because I'm right-handed. It's that simple. Don't overthink it, okay? Keep it simple, keep it fun. That's what hair's supposed to be. We're here to build confidence and self-esteem. We're here to make people feel better. Keep it light, right? And that's one of the reasons why you became a professional in the beauty industry, because you wanted that fun and you wanted to engage and you wanted to make people feel better. Okay, so this section is not very thick and dense, okay? And you can see we've got perimeter here that I'm absolutely going to carve out because, again, I don't want any holes or skips or gaps in the frontal, all right? Now I've got a newspaper thin section. What am I going to do? I'm going to fold it in between my index and my middle finger, and I'm going to kind of create a fist, okay? And what I'm doing is I'm going to lean that hair over and I'm going to see, does it have any weight? Does it have any area that needs to be kind of density removed because it's dragging or it's weighted down? And the answer is simply no, because it's already newspaper thin and it doesn't see, you see it's popping up just fine with the invisible layers that we did underneath on our parietal ridge, okay? So this side is fine, and that's okay. You don't have to cut every single section. You just need to analyze it, and then you make the decision as a professional if it's necessary or not. Okay, so now we're going to be working on the left-hand side. Kind of juggle my shears and my comb for a second. Now this is quite a section here, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to split this in half, because I don't want to get too much hair in my parting, because then I might get too much hair in my shear and it might disturb my overall design that I have for the haircut. I'm going to flip this aside. I'm going to take this first section and let me turn her just a little bit better so you can see where I'm working at. Okay, I'm sure many of you have already thought to yourself, and I hope you have, we got to get rid of that perimeter, right? So I'm going to come in. I drop my comb. That's the beauty of live. Sometimes things happen, you just got to go with it, right? So I'm going to use my finger and I'm going to section out about a ½ inch of hair right in her perimeter where her bang is, okay? Now I'm going to take this other section. I'm going to stand on the same side that I'm working on. Remember, each of these sections, you got to be parallel with your guest and their party. I'm going to take this section. I'm going to use my index, my middle finger, like a little alligator. And I'm going to kind of create a fist. When I create the fist, what I'm doing is I'm spreading all this section out. I'm fanning it out so I can see exactly where the weight is in the bang area. You're going to want to have your guest client tilt their chin down because you want this hair to fall over on the opposite side, okay? Did you see that? How I came over here? We know that if you cut it all right here, you're going to get too much hair. We want to over direct. That over direction is also going to create volume as well, okay? Little fist, fan the hair, open it up. Your shears. Again, we're going to go back to tip point cutting, okay? I'm going to start on the opposite, on the other side of my index finger, over the round. You can see with this bang hair, this hair and this parting is rounded off. Let me turn you right here. It's a better section. And then let me get rid of this guy because I really want you guys to see what I'm doing. I don't want any interruptions. And we're almost done. So I thank you all today for sharing with us. All right, we've got a comb, got it folded over. You can see the round right here. I'm starting over that. And I'm going to do a bricklaying. Point cutting all the way to the tips. Once I get to the tips, I'm going to pull the hair back up and I'm going to fan it out. Okay, what I'm doing when I fan it out, I want an even panel. I don't want any of this hair splitting, okay? If it's splitting or drawing together, that is where the weight is. It needs to be removed, okay? I want this hair to fan out and lay smooth. And I've done it with one section. Now, if there was still hair that was sectioning off or kind of splitting or combining, then you would know you need to laser beam focus on that specific area. So you can go back and do these techniques in these sections once or twice in the same haircut. Analyze your section, see where the weight is, see where the drag is. The hair's not moving, it's laying, it's heavy, it's kind of glomming together. That's when you know there's weight, okay? All right, so now we got this section done here. I'm gonna go on to this next section, and it's the back section of this part, okay? I see scalp. I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna part off about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch, making sure that all my perimeter down here is together. I'm then going to lift the hair up. I'm going to use my middle and index like an alligator, lift that hair up, kind of make a tiny fist so it'll fan out. Lean it over, and I'm sure you guys can see right here, we've got 2 sections. They're just kind of hanging together, stuck together. So we're going to take our point cutting. We'll go down one side, it's heavy. Come back, refan it out. Point cut down, follow through with your fingers all the way to the end. Readjust. Ah, look at that. That whole section is now fanning out together. I don't know if you can see that. Turn her gently so you guys can see from all angles. And that's it for that section. Now let me release. And lift it up. Now look at that. See how her bang looks more full and engaged together instead of one strip of hair hanging down, okay? All right, for the grand finale, right? Okay, this has been one of my favorite products of all time since the dawn of Bosley. And this is our volumizing, nourishing leave-in. I wish they would have just called it liquid gold in a bottle, because that's basically what it is. You can use this wet or dry. It's a detangler. It's a sunscreen. It's a color protector. It's a heat protectant. You can use it on textured hair. You can use it as second day hair refreshing as well. That's what I did. That's what I did today, okay? And that's what we're going to do for Miss Anna, so you can kind of see what it looks like on dry hair. Missed it? Scratch it in, right? It's going to give it shine. It's going to give it volume. It's going to dry in a second, and it's going to give natural texture. So I'm going to keep turning her so you all can see how this has helped volumize her hair. Now we're coming in, we're doing a little styling technique. Also, it's a great cutting tool. Right? You're in a hurry, you're maybe a little bit behind. That happens a lot in our industry. You don't have time to shampoo. Maybe they don't want to shampoo. Okay. This is a great application process. Missed it on the dry hair, comb it through. It's a great cutting tool. Okay. It's actually better than water, because water makes the cuticle explode and can kind of dry it out a little bit. As much as we need water to shampoo, it's one of the worst things we can use on our actual hair, especially if you have textured hair. Okay. So great to use for that second day refreshing. Great to use while it's wet as a leave-in and a protectant, sunscreen, and it's can protect the hair up to 400 degrees on that flat iron or that curling iron. Okay. All right. So I think we've got through all of our products. Want to make sure where we at on time. Oh, right at the top of the hour. Awesome. I love it when I'm on time. What kind of questions do we have out there, Great Clips professionals? Love to answer. You got a couple more minutes with us.
Not seeing any questions out there, JB.
Okay. Is there anything, Sharon, you want me to touch base on that maybe you were hoping for that I may have overlooked?
Not at all. You touched base on everything. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Great Clips professionals, thank you so much for your time. You should give yourself a big pat on the back anytime you spend and invest your own time in your career to educating yourself to do better with your clientele. Give yourself a pat on the back. Not everybody's doing that out there, okay? Thank you so much again for your time and your attention. I hope that you found this valuable. BosleyMD, we appreciate you as well, Great Clips. And best of luck. Take care. Grow hair. Thank you.
Miss